you'll often find this family outside. For gardener Lynn Dobson, husband Greg Wooldridge, and children Luke and Claire, some of their favorite rooms have living walls.
We have about 6 rooms in this garden. It's nice to have that discovery and that quietness of kind of going through, what am I going to see next?
She also sees a lot away from home as a humanitarian photojournalist and activist for several nonprofits. On her website, she documents her missions in Africa, including Water to Thrive, Free Wheelchair Mission, and the African Children's Choir. As a photographer and observer of nature's gifts, Lynn focused on changing her yard's boring view when they bought their house.
This was just unusable. You know, you just walked through it, but you couldn't, this wasn't a destination. We needed some place to come and sit. I wanted to entertain.
Landscape architect Bill Bauer had the answer. He removed the tense slope of grass and layered it with walkways and a serene gravel living room. Their dog Sherman appreciates his design too. The wall above the living room lost a few sentinels in 2012's unusual freeze, but most made it just fine. Even though Lynn had to figure out shade gardening, that's okay by her.
I love these trees, and you know, the red oaks are great, and they're so dramatic, the way they, you know, reach forward, and I just love the way the seasons change, and I watch them from the house. I just sort of start going and mixing, and I love the different palette and the different colors that you know that you can incorporate, and one thing leads to the next.
She partners with designer Molly Wood from Xylem Organic Gardening for the big maintenance jobs, plant resources, and the yearly application of turkey compost for plant health and water retention. Lynn handles the day-to-day design and maintenance.
I like the physical act of gardening. I like the hauling, the water. I like to fertilize by just pouring the liquid seaweed in a bucket and hauling it around and going back, and that repetition. I love that. You get into a trance of just, you know, and then that's part of nurturing, that pouring of the water, you know, the pouring. I like that. It's such an opportunity to nurture. And it's an opportunity to see so many details and to take care and to notice and to appreciate. Just to notice the tiny miracles that are there and to witness them and to embrace that. There's so many little encounters, tiny encounters, even if it's just, you know, the way the rain looks on the leaf, you know, look at how gorgeous that is. And to notice that and to just stop and be in peace with that one little lizard that you might find. Claire and I, oh, it's so much fun. We used to name all the lizards, and we named the birds, and we've got a lot of birds here too. That's part of, I love birds, and my mother loved birds. I feel my mom here a lot too.
Growing up on the Gulf Coast, she symbolizes her mother's love of shells with a sculpture by artist Emily Haas. Rescue cat Abby admires it from her unique vantage point. The whole family gets the view from a safer perch upstairs.
I've never had a garden where you can see from above and then you walk down to where you have looked. That's really fun. You get the opportunity to see it from different angles. So as a photographer, I'm always finding different angles to shoot too, and looking at backgrounds and looking at foregrounds and looking at everything together.
Another angle is from close up. In Lynn's various shady beds, she loves structural crinum lily, which emerges quickly after brief winter dormancy. She includes them in the side yard, where she faced 2 challenges, shade and drainage control. One undaunted trio is Ligularia, Aztec grass, and Japanese Aurelia. Rather than a tedious hedgerow, she flavors things up with lots of texture, including Hoya santa, root beer plant.
It has those big, beautiful leaves and that white punctuation of that little slender bloom. And of course, it's the first one to go in the frost. You know, that is pitiful. You go out there and it's just gone. And even when it gets to 36 or 38, it's gone, but that's okay. It always comes back and it spreads a little bit, and there's a lot of room back there to spread.
To document the walkway, Lynn dipped into Greg's bowling ball collection.
I love the bowling balls. They're fun and sculptural, and they, withstand the weather just great. And we had to do that for drainage, and it was boring with just the rocks for drainage.
She dressed up a classic mailbox to access tools and supplies midway between gardens. Their goat moves around, well, like goats tend to do. Greg found it at a department store when they dismantled a display.
And he bought it. Brought it home and put it on the roof for my 40th birthday. And so when people were coming over, I didn't know it was on the roof, the porch roof, which is flat. And I was greeting people outside, and they would be hugging me, and they'd look up and they'd go, "What's a goat doing on the roof?" And I turned around and went, "Greg strikes again."
Aside from the occasional goat on the roof, in front, Lynn wanted a warm welcome for her guests every day, including the wildlife. Grasses, native perennials, and pomegranates provide structure all the time, with flowers and fruit by the season. One fall blooming favorite is forsythia sage that Lynn moved from their former garden. At the entrance, she also brought along their pindo palm. She set off its fronds with textural variants and the warmth of Japanese maple. A fountain soft bubbling adds the musical note. The front porch is a garden room of its own.
It's actually a garden table that I found in Fredericksburg, but I put it inside my house. So I like to do unexpected things like that, put the inside out, and then I moved it outside, and I said, you're supposed to be outside. I put all my succulents there.
Lynn's not finished yet, since weather, new finds, and her latest project to remove the rest of the lawn energize her creativity.
It's that unexpected thing in gardening where you try something and it outperforms your expectations. And then sometimes it underperforms and you just go, oh, well, I appreciate either outcome. You learn from it. And then being a photographer and being so visual, I really appreciate every shape and color and form. And gardening gives you the chance to see that and either organize it into a symphony. I feel like garden is a symphony. And I try to make mine a symphony because there's lots of different things going on, and you can put something together and it can go or not go, and you say, no, you don't go, and get out and put something that goes better, that merges into the symphony better. That's why I love it. It's constantly evolving, and it's a slow growing symphony sometimes, and sometimes it's a fast growing, maybe invasive symphony. You plant something and you go, oh, that's too much of a good thing.